Okay, hello everyone. So finally we have the final lecture today, but still we will have, probably it would be a bit shorter, but still a full lecture. We have one topic, and the task would be for you for further research. So you don't need to do anything more to have the pass, and most of you have already had it, but it would be just for further research. With my colleagues from two projects, we will share with you our experience on launching educational bots. It doesn't matter that these are educational bots, but probably you can do something similar in your research areas. So we will start with Alexey Alexandrovich, who is my colleague from a project supported by Moscow University scientific schools. And so within this project we try to figure out what are the differences now between just digitalization of education and trying to make some of the parts of the educational process automatic within some kinds of bots. We are just at the beginning of the story, but still Alexey will share with you the architecture of this bot, how GPT here helps us evaluate students, their responses, and you will tell us, probably give us a bit of feedback whether if you were the student of our faculty, would you take this opportunity to use this bot for home task, or would you prefer to avoid it somehow? And then my PhD student would share another part of this bot, or would also share something which is launched not with Python libraries, but on a constructor which is available without any programming. Of course, she would share also all the limitations of this constructor because they exist. However, this is another no-code solution for such bots. As for me, at the end, I would make kind of a conclusion of all the challenges that bots nowadays bring for our research. I mean, when we deal with quantitative and qualitative data, trying to gather it, especially in humanities. And here, of course, we face a lot of challenges connected to bots which take our surveys, which might generate answers during the online interviews, and so on. Okay, so let's start with the first bot architecture. Alexey, you're welcome.
So, hello everyone. I hope that we'll have some interactive talk, I believe. Probably it's possible. Look, to start with, I'll probably elaborate on what it is like, because actually I think it's something which is not quite visible. For sure, you may discover it here. But the issue is that it is just now for some closed testing, so it's available there using the link, but I think we'll come back to this in the very end of our talk, because I think I'll share how to test it actually, because now it's just there, but it's not just, it's just disabled. And first of all, let's probably just have a look at this very general architecture on chatbot. So as you see here, we have just NLP things, and for sure they could be just substituted by large language models and just some other tools which are probably more advanced than some classical natural language processing tools. But anyway, this is very typical thing. So we start from some input, so here it's just stated as a question, and then we process just what we need to process. And in the end, we get some output, which gets through specific knowledge base. In our case, that would be a little bit different story. But basically, that's a very clear scenario, and just, I mean, it's really hard to probably get away from even one step. So we have to go through all the steps if we want to make this interaction happen. For sure, our major goal was to make it as just fruitful as possible. And for sure, there are very many bots which are, let's say, written-based, and this is really nice thing even for education. But for our perspective, I think we, just in the very beginning, we aimed at some speaking thing. And for sure, we needed some automated speech recognition, or literally speech-to-text engine, and we actually had a thought on that. For sure, now I think that it's quite a common knowledge that OpenAI Whisper library is a sort of like best tool for that, and so we just integrated it into the project first. So we tested at first how it could work with our specific tasks, because we are not going to just, let's say, research something which is probably quite complicated, but for sure we aimed at very different let's say, ways of saying things, and for sure the accuracy of speech recognition was a key thing. And then just there was another thought that we were actually trying to imply. So for sure, apart from speech recognition, we thought about how we could handle all the just inputs that students are feeding. And I think just this chart is really helpful, because here we may see a lot of features which could be easily integrated into this bot. And even in theory, we first just learned that for sure there wouldn't be any just big challenges. For sure there were some tech challenges as usual, but I mean on the let's say on surface that was pretty clear. I'll just comment probably on some of them. So first of all, that was instant feedback, because our first goal was to feed students with some really good speech recognition script. And because sometimes this is a kind of challenge. You may talk to some bot flawlessly, but in the end you cannot see what you have said. And for sure, for further, let's say, reflection on that, and for further probably just research of what you've done, either with a teacher or not, so you may need some sort of foundation. And instant feedback with a script could be that thing. Another thing was I think automated grading for sure, because look, basically just any teacher, any good teacher could assess the student's speaking, and that will take some time for sure. But that won't be automated, first of all. It can happen during specific, just let's say, study hours, and it's in most cases it's not repetitive. So it means that just teacher can actually handle just some students' answer really well, but then just the next assessment can take place, I'm not sure, probably in a month or so or in 2 weeks, but this time could be really helpful, because just student can actually advance somehow, probably while researching all these outputs. So they were for sure these two major things that we were having in mind. As for the other ones, I mean, just student profiling is probably the next step forward, because having in mind that we are collecting some data, then we may just come up to that. So we may suggest not just, and we may not just assess the student, but we may actually give some full description of the student's competence. But I think this is something that we just planned for some further research. Yeah, and if we take the other things, content creation wasn't that interesting story for us this time, because we were feeding the bot with the content that was created beforehand, that was just human-created content. And as for study guide tailoring, I think this is quite odd thing here, so much could be hidden there, so I think we'll just skip that. Yeah, and I'm not sure if we have a lot of students who are just coding in Python, but I mean, just even if you do not code, that could be a really nice starting point. I just give you a hint. On the right side, you can see the first edition of our bot. So here we have just setup, which is necessary for launching this bot. So we have some Python libraries that should be installed first of all. And actually it failed. Yeah, and I'll just explain that a little bit further, but probably there will be some guesses on that. But on the right side, on the left side, sorry, we have the one which actually succeeded. So I think you have noticed the difference for sure, but I mean, probably you may just comment on that a little bit. Any ideas? So what has happened? Because basically the code on the right seems pretty nice. I mean, in terms of setup.
You're trying to analyze the voice that you input from the bot in your plot, not by yourself, not only by the OpenAI claim. You're trying to cut something or volume up.
Look, just this is just a very short snippet of the code. As I said, it's just a setup, yeah? So for sure, I mean, just here we have, I don't know, just 8 lines, and just the whole code is probably 200 lines. And for sure, we have some specific requirements for volume and just for cutting the pieces of of the audio. Yeah, but I mean, just here, do you see something which may seem not quite fine in terms of just further development? Really, why?
Because on the left side you are creating with recipes of some services and using Python as a piece script for this. On the right side, you're trying to code something by your hands.
Yeah, but look, I mean, yeah, for sure we may just go into details, and that could be just a very long story, but to put it short, yeah, at first we were aiming at, let's say, making probably a bit more complicated scenario, because there were a few, let's say, pre-built questions, but actually we then just got away from that. But look, for sure that is partly true, and for sure this line with wave finally dismissed our first edition, and I'll explain why. And for sure we then needed to deploy the bot somewhere. We just picked up probably the server tool, which is quite well known. I mean, this Heroku tool. And actually that code on the right worked really fine within the let's say settings of just any laptop, so we could easily and really quickly process speech, and the delay for getting this script for the speech was really minimal. But on practice, that was not probably quite nice move, because Heroku server doesn't actually process any waves. I mean, just any things which are processed within the within the code. Yeah, I mean, just on the left side for sure, that was much more easier thing. So we just downloaded some recording, and that's it. So that was for sure not a big drawback, I believe, because yeah, for sure from now on it took probably a few seconds more each time, but in the end we ended up with something which is stable, yeah, and that wasn't a big deal. So I think just we always have to care about these server tools. We didn't have much time to just investigate all these solutions which are on the market, so that was probably the easiest way out. Yeah, so we at first we just simplified the code, and then speech recognition worked really nicely on any devices. Sorry? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, one more, I think, thing which is a bit hidden here. I would say that this is very rough architecture of what we've done, but still I think it's quite visual. At least we may imagine what could be just hidden by the parts which are not marked anyhow. But some are still marked, as you see. And for sure, just using Telegram bot was like the easiest thing to handle all these very simple exchanges, because we still start from some simple thing like clicking on the starting button, and then we process with pre-built things, and only after that we just try to ask for just giving some talk, I mean just students talk. Yeah, I think just this second row is just now not a big secret, because as you see, we just got away from this wave processing, so we just we are always downloading the user's just recording, and then it's processed by the Whisper library, which is OpenAI library. But then we have a very interesting third row, which I think is worth discussing. So any guesses what could be hidden here?
The most question
Yeah.
is deployed on your Heroku machine.
Yeah.
That's why you buy a machine with a cool GPI,
Sorry?
This permits very much amount of GPU and video storage for
Mhm.
fast working.
Mhm.
If you bought a cool machine in Heroku, not just two cores.
Look, we may discuss that, I think, once again for the rest of the class. But look, Heroku actually offers this, I mean, just they are just named add-ons, not just servers, and they have all the necessary infrastructure pre-built there. So we do not care about all these tech things at all. So it works nicely, yeah, on this server. Yeah. Look, yeah, I would say that that was our first, I would say, just thing in mind. So we were looking for something which is quite cheap and which is quite stable. Once again, just as I know, and most of developers agree that Heroku is really nice for deploying some like pet projects or something which is very easy to handle. And yeah, look, I would say that we were experimenting for like a few days in just October and November, and all this just OpenAI API and Heroku altogether costs were about $5 or so.
And
Yeah.
Whisper works with a file on Heroku server on OpenAI server. Don't Whisper like an open source library on your computer, or it is
Yeah, look, no. Yeah, our idea was pretty simple. We our main goal was to deploy it the way we are just handling this front end in the Telegram, and that's it. So, and actually we are just feeding OpenAI with two things. I'll just elaborate on the second one, but the first one is speech recognition, and for sure it just handled there.
and you wait for the Whisper to OpenAI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Look, for sure, we could probably look for some other library which could be probably just more cost-effective. But once again, just we needed some nice quality for the speech recognition, so we decided just to do that a bit. Yeah, but so getting back to the very let's say, bottom row. So what could be hidden here? So definitely speech recognition remained on the second level. And what about the third? Look, once again, as I said, it's a very rough thing, yeah. So it shouldn't be treated as a sort of like ideal just scheme for the whole project. No, it's very rough, and much is just missing. But I mean, the principal parts, I mean, which are actually meaningful for the project, they are definitely here. At least in these like. Exactly. Exactly. So it should be somewhere on the third, just this bottom level. And for sure, I mean, it's also clear that by just downloading the scripts and just by having the scripts, it's analyzed by large language model we are using. And that is something which is done in the very, let's say, final approach, because we asked the students, I mean, in this testing period to work only with 9 questions, and this final feedback actually happened only after just processing all the first, not just all the first, all the 9 questions. Yeah, for sure, LLM is the key element, so I think that that's not a surprise. Yeah, and so here you may see how it actually worked. I hope that probably some of you will try it out themselves one day. I mean, the day then we just enable it for sure. But basically, that was a really nice thing that we just agreed probably fully, because that was, I mean, just the code was working pretty nicely. I mean, just I didn't talk about that before, but we just had some requirement which is also stated for the user. We are only just using the recordings which are less than 10 seconds, and that's also, I think, a meaningful thing, because all the questions that we have here do not actually need any like extra huge time which could be spent on all these talks, and probably just that was a just way to how to probably boost their spontaneous speech. Yeah, and but let's pass on to that. I think that we have partly discussed this as well. But I mean, after getting all these scripts for their talks, I mean, it's just, I'm talking from the student's perspective. They are actually getting some sort of feedback, and I'll show it for sure. But probably we will try to just comment on this question. So how to handle tailored feedback within LLM plus ASR settings. I mean, for sure, LLM is just there, yeah? So we just, I wasn't talking about that much, but that's done in a way probably simpler than it's done with Whisper library. So it's not a big deal to deploy just any large language model into the bot. But then look, as you see, just here, it's not visible. No, it's visible, sorry, just I was thinking about the other slide. But you see that the feedback is quite specific. So I think that it's really impossible to imagine that just any large language model can feed the student with a very specific evaluation of the talk. First of all, it's done in Russian, and like basically it could be done for sure in any language. But I think that that's the first clue. Another one that we have, once again, very specific things which are repeated. So as we know, large language models can actually fluctuate a lot with the output, and here you see that the output is more or less stable, right? Yeah, so there is no big difference between the evaluation for answer 2 and answer 1. So what is another crucial element for this assessment, which is not for sure a large language model specifically. What could it be?
You should make a good prompt for it.
Mhm.
Should divide the voice to the questions
Mhm.
and to the answers.
But look, I mean, just dividing or splitting, I think, is not a big deal compared to what we have here, because this is quite specific evaluation, and I think we cannot expect that any large language model can feed a student with this thing. Here it is, and just I saved you from studying probably the whole prompt, because as I remember, it takes more than 70 or 80 lines of the code. And so you see that it's a really detailed internal prompt, and it naturally covers all the things which are for sure like clear for any human. But as we know, large language model needs basically some detailed instruction, and even probably excessive instruction, which is for sure not that necessary for any human, but here it is a sort of must, or a sort of a thing which will probably save us from just having this unstable output. And I would, unfortunately, yeah, it's not probably visually clear, but you see that we, for sure, at the very beginning of this prompt, we tried to encourage just LLM to just give some feedback with a very specific fashion. Yeah, so we just first of all just required not calling just a user just in that way which is stated here. I mean in Russian, like пользователь or student. Yeah, so, and I think just once again, there are a few funny things just a bit below. I mean, just in this snippet of a code which is not seen, but just believe me, this is something that took probably much more than like just compiling all this code. So, I think that I'm done. For sure, if you want to test this bot and just, I mean, you want to probably take part in this, so for sure you may contact me, because now we are just getting some requests from everyone, from both teachers and students, and just probably in a few weeks or so, probably just earlier than that, we'll open it for a while, because we just need to probably get some more feedback from everyone, and for sure your voices will be helpful. Yeah, any questions?
If you need to describe the voice on Russian, have you seen the Russian APIs such as Yandex SpeechKit or the bank for ASL? It looks like the API that works on Russian service with
Mhm.
Russian laws
Mhm.
and Russian specific will work more qualitative and more faster than Whisper. If we need to pay for Whisper,
Mhm.
Whisper have one advantage that we can for free deploy it on our server.
Mhm.
But when we're using it by API,
Mhm.
for me, we have to use Russian API.
Yeah, but look, I mean, just there is a very simple answer, I guess. As you know, just any Yandex SpeechKit iteration in English doesn't work the way just any, I think, very many other just libraries for ASR. So I think that's very simple. Because look, I worked with just very many just engines in some other projects, and for sure Yandex SpeechKit in English failed a lot, unfortunately. In Russian, it's really cool, and I'm also using it in some other projects, but in English, it totally fails. I think that's the only thing we may say here.
And in this product, we want to, sometimes users can give us a voice in English.
What do you mean?
This bot
Look, first of all, this bot is for students studying English. They are mostly Russians, yeah? But look, just probably you have seen the questions, yeah, they are for sure not for those studying just Russian, yeah? So if it was a Russian, yeah, bot, then I mean just for those who are studying Russian, then for sure Yandex Speech Kit could be the first choice, yeah. So that's it, thank you.
So if you had such a teacher, such an English language instructor, would you appreciate having home tasks in a bot where you are able to do some dialogues at home, or would you prefer to stay like it is now, just doing something in your student's book? Yeah, so to which extent are you ready to mix it? Are you ready to spend time interacting with a bot whilst doing homework, learning any language, any foreign language? Okay, seems like you're not happy about spending more time on it, because if silence is the answer, then okay. Still, we will go on with the project, sorry. Okay, right, it doesn't work, okay. I do believe that there were some new words for a few of you whilst Alexei was presenting the bot. So let me say a few words about automatic speech recognition. In fact, we started with this case study, how to launch a bot, with our little experience and covering bots in education. And during the first lectures, we touched upon this question with you. For now, just to wake up, would you let's do a little interactive task, because normally I think everyone has the experience of talking to a bot on the phone, probably, but normally we face a lot of misunderstandings. So would you now, in pairs, trying to make a dialogue, whilst the human, you decide who is the human, who is the bot, the human would ask a question orally, and then the bot would act not the best way, so to say, just for us to figure out, for you to remember some of the typical mistakes that the bots nowadays make. So is it clear what you need to do? Okay, so take your time, about 2 minutes for such a dialogue. Okay, right, so did you get the help? Did you get the support? Did you manage to succeed in the dialogue with a bot? So what are the typical mistakes that speech recognition bots make nowadays? What is most hard for them? Sure, yeah. We have another project with Alexei, isn't it a secret?
No.
If it's on Istine, it's not a secret anymore. Another project we're trying to launch and to pilot another bot on, it's kind of an application for kids. How should we explain it in a few words?
It's just, let's say, specific bot for language therapy. Something for early kids which are just trying to practice some very basic phonemes, and just, but it's in Russian. So
and it's really hard to recognize what kids say, especially with some problems with pronunciation. So yeah, the first challenge, right. What other challenges do we face? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Seems like they try to classify everything what we say, and if they do not understand something, it's just not counted, and we get the answers just to the classified parts. Yeah. Another issue. Right. What else? Yeah. Uh-huh.
AI or whatever, to understand where is the punctuation, where does the sentence end, is it a punctuation or not?
Exactly, that's another story. So it's another step where they process all the punctuation marks, all the letters and words and so on. Right, thank you. What else?
And in terms of transcribing the lectures, the most difficult part for SR is terms that are not in pre-trained place for this model.
Absolutely, yeah. But anyway, it just came up to my mind that, okay, if we're discussing ACR in research, when I defended my PhD thesis, I did all this transcription work just by hand. So it was not, I'm not like 70 years old, and still it was so. So it's much better now, it seems. But still, so ACR, as for the architecture, as Alexei illustrated with our little educational bot, first of all, there should be kind of an acoustic model. What does it do? What is the purpose of it? Okay, right, in easy words. How would you explain it? What kind of waves? Because waves were mentioned for a few times already today. What waves are we speaking of? Sound waves, right, okay. Yeah, so just to differentiate the words from some noises and stuff like that. Okay, what does the language model do? Exactly. So this is natural language processing, the thing that we're discussing here. Again, the pre-processing stage is very important because we need to get rid of everything that we do not need, and so on. What does text formatting service do? Yeah, indeed, including it. So, right, fine. Then modals. So the easiest one. Has anyone ever heard of any of those models, types of models? So this is in fact how it all kind of developed. Of course, it all started with Eliza Bot in the middle of the 20th century, and it was just classifying some particular phrases, trying to give more or less suitable answers as an active listener. As for the last 10 or 20 years, in general, we can put it like this. So it all started with this just another speech recognition models. Then it turned to transformers. In the middle, there were the recurrent neural networks. And so the main idea is that nowadays they try to analyze the context of this whole dialogue of the whole part. And so this is the step forward, which is not successfully completed already. But of course, the conformers like Whisper or whatever, they do try to rely on context, not just doing this pure classification task. Because otherwise, if it's just pure classification, we cannot speak about natural language understanding. This is the step which is probably not achieved yet, starting with Eliza. By the way, another history example, IBM Watson. Have you ever heard of this chatbot? Yeah, something. What was it? What was it? Something? Because it was really discussed like 10 or something years ago. In fact, we touched upon a few examples of bots winning some games like chess game, Go game, and so on. And Watson, in something like 2010, it beat some players of Jeopardy, which is the equivalent of Russian своя игра, vice versa, in fact, yeah. And so, but of course, again, it was not about understanding at all. It was just classification, searching for all the materials of Wikipedia, for example, which were fed before into it. If we speak about state-of-the-art voice assistants, they use the CTC architecture, which helps them some kind to, first of all, overcome this time lapse whilst doing all the operations, and to take into account the context. And so let's complete our theoretical part of the course again with Ilya Sutskever's quotation like we started with. Seems like the models try to approach accuracy in at least some tasks compared to humans. And here I have another question for you to discuss. If we speak about research, we sometimes can use, especially in humanities, for qualitative and quantitative research, we can use some bots. So we can make a survey there, we can create a focus group or something. So what do you think? What are the threats that chatbots provide us with if we are trying to collect some quantitative data like surveys or qualitative data like interviews or whatever? What are the threats from the bots?
They can find wrong information about it.
Exactly, yeah. So, and they can answer instead of humans, yeah? So will you now take a minute and discuss again in pairs what measures can a researcher take while analyzing the results got from the survey or from the interview to figure out the answers given by bots? Is it clear, the question? Okay, so take a minute to discuss it in pairs, and then we'll try to conclude how can we try to differentiate those answers made by a bot.
We have discussed it in our purpose of psychology, experimental psychology. There is a bot that gives a 99% of accuracy of qualitative data for surveys. We can use it as
Okay, yeah, so here we are speaking about the synthetic data, which is now used for research as well. So what about your research fields? Is it possible to use synthetic data? Have you already come across in some scientific articles of using synthetic data? Because I do believe this is the trend of the last half a year or something, that it is acceptable. Any examples of such research?
What is synthetic data?
The data generated by any large language model. Because, for example, if I don't know, at the linguistic faculty, you are analyzing machine learning as the topic of your dissertation, and then you need to have a data set for the model. For example, to figure out some particular idioms, to learn to translate them correctly, to learn to differentiate them, to see them. But of course, it's quite hard to collect this data from somewhere, because it needs to be like millions of examples. And then you can just generate this data. And I do believe that a few years ago, it normally didn't help to teach the model, to supervise the model, if it learned on synthetic data. But now it's quite possible. So this is how it can be used. Instead of collecting data, you can generate it. And Of course, in some cases, if we speak about qualitative data, it's quite okay. That okay, these are the bot's answers. Still, the bot analyzed human answers and tried just to follow the same patterns. Nevertheless, we cannot rely fully on the data which is generated by AI, because otherwise it won't be a pure research. Yeah, we would study something not human. So what do you think? Still, let's come back to and discuss in pairs. What are the ways, how can we figure out that, okay, you started a survey, you needed like 1,000 answers, and you feel like, okay, something is wrong here, it doesn't meet my hypothesis, it doesn't meet any reasoning and stuff like that. How to figure out the answers by a bot? Is the question clear? Would you now discuss in pairs, and then we'll try to conclude the ways how we can figure out the bot's answers in qualitative and quantitative data search. И потом я вам передам слово. А вы сколько примерно будете рассказывать?
В прошлый раз, может быть, чуть поменьше.
Ага. Я просто что рассчитываю время, что еще что-то рассказывать ему или уже.
Я просто
Okay, right. So, any ideas? How can we figure out the answers given by a bot? Both on questionnaires, where the answers are closed type, like multiple choice, and open close questions, open class questions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to use bots exactly, but we can write a program, make a model, for example, neural network, to filter our data. And so there we need to have data set with the analyzed data, the data with the data which are known to be correct. And also we can use neural networks to synthesize new data, or for example change something in the previous data, but something that won't change the whole picture. So the picture will be the same, but there will be more analyzed data to train the model.
exactly. This is kind of a statistical approach. Yeah, you just change part of the answers. If I got it correctly, great, right?
For example.
Uh-huh.
And so you have more data to more analyzed data,
Mm-hmm.
and you can train the model, then analyze the other data
Mm-hmm.
using this model.
Yeah. Okay, great. Right. But then, okay, but if it was not your objective, if you were not the one who generated it as a researcher, but you got the answers which seem like Freud, but how to figure them out, how to compare them to the human ones, of course, you can use, first of all, some software which analyzes the text. For example, when, especially abroad, where GPT is the site itself is available, they now use the software which figures out some watermarks from the site to prove that the work by a student is generated. However, here we do mostly use some bots again, and so there are no watermarks. So first of all, we can use some software. Second, what can be analyzed in the answers that would prove that they are created by bots? If it's about questionnaires, normally if the bot takes kind of a questionnaire, first of all, the time span is very fast. Second, normally there is a cluster of bots which answer almost the same, in the same way. And so if you see that, okay, from 500 answers, there are 50 very close to each other, but they differentiate much from the rest of the answers, you can analyze, of course, the IP or the devices, the platforms that the answers come from, so from the technical side. And you can analyze also some personal data that normally is collected through such questionnaires or interviews or focus groups, where you can figure out that, okay, that looks weird in terms of geography, for example, or age, or whatever, gender, because again, the model might not get the idea that, that this or that answer would suit the personal qualities of the human that might have taken this questionnaire. Okay? Any other ways? Yeah? Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, right. So you bring me back to the idea that, okay, without me it would be solved, right? But still you need to give some parameters to it, how to figure out those answers. Fine, so thank you very much for your interaction. And finally, so we started with something very hard from Alexei, then I tried to give some explanation, and then Ekaterina would share with you the other part of our educational bot, where we try to create the individual learning path for language learners, figuring out their interests, their level of language, and so on. But this part is made on Botmother, which is a constructor, a no-code solution for bots. So just for you to know that there is such an opportunity. And afterwards, with great pleasure, I will sign all your papers in terms of the pass.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ekaterina. Thank you so much, Anna Petrovna. Here is our bot that we created together. It was aimed to teach our students some lexes based on their English course on our faculty, based on their interest and based on their level of English. You can check that if you want. And now I'm going to show you how you can create your own bot. You can create it for your survey, for your essays, or probably you want to add some spice for your Christmas party or something like that, or you want to test something I don't know who, but let's create it together. So here's the platform that is called Botmother. Has anyone ever heard of that, Botmother, or any other platforms? Yes, it is free up to 10 users. So if you have more than 10 users, you have to pay for it. But if you have less, then it is free. Yeah, and it's really convenient if you don't know how to code. It's really cool. So let's create it together. So here how the platform looks. You can use it in Russian language or English language, wherever you like. You press the create bot. And the first thing you have is welcome screen, which you can edit or you can leave it like that. Our bot has like 600 screens, and it took us, I think, 70 hours to create that, but your bots don't need to be that massive. So let's create a bot that, I don't know, learn or test how a person can count or something like that. So for example, let's add the components of message and buttons. The buttons component is a component that you use to create multiple choice tasks. For example, you can put 2 plus 2. This is the question, and here you put some answers, which your user will choose from. If you want your bot to show a user that the answer that they chose is wrong, you have to add another screen. Let's call it wrong answer. And write a message like something. So we know that 1 is the wrong answer. So if a person presses 1, he or she goes to the wrong answer screen. The same with the answer 2. And with 4, we can add another screen. So if a person does the question right, he or she goes to the question 2. And the question 2 can be either the same or, either the same structure, or it can be another one where he or she writes something on their own. For example, if we want a user to put their answer on their own, we have to use 3 components. The first one is message, the second one is user input, And the third one is fork. And the very important thing here is that we have to name a variable that where the bot will take the information from. So it will be like, and here we put the very same variable. Then we open this component and go here to the advanced settings, where we write the text value. 5 plus 5 equals 10. So we put 10 here. And if a user doesn't write 10 on Telegram, he goes to the wrong answer, screen. And then he or she will have to do it again. So do you have any questions, or probably you want to do something together? Or I can show you how our bot looked like here. Really sorry, something's wrong, so I can't show you. I can't download the page, so.
Probably it's because of the internet.
Yes, probably because of that.
Okay.
Yes, if you don't have any questions, so that's it. Thank you so much.
Right, so thank you very much for the whole course. It was a great pleasure to work with all of you. So hopefully for your Christmas parties, you will create simple bots for 10 people free of charge here at Botmother. Do you have any questions to me? Right, so then that's it. You're welcome to come up here with your зачетки.